What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel as Monday's transfer update. And with Nicholas Kuhn set to complete his Como medical today, Celtic have been linked with a couple of new wingers over the weekend. We'll discuss those links in detail in a minute. Also, there is a couple of centre-halves ready to depart the club as we look at bringing in another left-sided centre-half target. We'll also discuss Brendan Rodgers' comments on the arrival of Hayato Inamura as well after Friday's friendly against Queen's Park. But we'll start today with the links this morning to Isak Jansson. He is a 23-year-old Swedish winger from Rapid Vienna in Austria. The Austrian club are said to be looking for around £10 million. This is reported by Sky Sports News this morning. The big issue here with this report is that it said clubs from the top 5 leagues in Europe are also monitoring the winger as well. So that presents a problem for Celtic, because if there's any concrete interest there, it might well be difficult to get the player to commit to Celtic if there's clubs from those big leagues also inquiring about him. £10 million is the fee that Rapid Vienna are said to be looking for. I've watched some clips of him. He looks a really good player, a proper wide player, really quick, can go both ways. He looks a really good dribbler. He can score a goal as well. Really good finisher. He looks a proper player, and I think this is the type of addition that you'd like to see us bring in, particularly losing someone like Nicholas Kuhn. He does look more of a left-sided player, right-footed, but coming in off the left-hand side. Again, we know that Brendan Rodgers likes to play with those inverted wingers. I think we do need bolstering in that position with the departure of Kuhn. I asked you what you thought in the last video that I did, talking about the departure of Kuhn, and a lot of you said you'd like to see us bring in 2 wingers now, particularly with Jota being out until the beginning of next year. So Isak Jansson definitely looks like a good player. He looks like the kind of player that you would want Celtic to bring in, and he looks like a really exciting prospect if you get him in this Celtic team under Brendan Rodgers. 23, a great age, and I think he could really develop coming here. And then again, he does look like a player who you'd maybe be looking to sell on for a bigger profit in 2 or 3 years' time, but it looks like there's huge competition for his signature. And like I say, that means that Celtic would have to move quickly. £10 million is a big fee for Celtic. We did go there and north of there for Arne Engels last summer, but I think £10 million and links to clubs from the top 5 leagues in Europe make this a really, really awkward one for Celtic. If we're going to get this deal done, we're going to have to move quickly. And we're going to have to convince Jansson that Celtic is the right destination for him for his next step. If there is concrete interest from clubs in any of those top leagues, it might well be very difficult for the club to convince him that Celtic is the place that he should make his next move. But like I say, he looks a top player. He looks like the perfect calibre and the perfect fit for this Celtic team. But it looks like it's going to be very, very difficult with that fee around £10 million and competition from those other top 5 leagues in Europe. Moving on, Michel-Ange Balikwisha, who have been linked with for a long time from Royal Antwerp. The latest report on that is that Antwerp would like a swift conclusion to his future, and they would like to agree a deal sooner rather than later. I have the sense that this is maybe dragging on in Celtic terms. Again, we were linked with him in January, and you just wonder if Antwerp would like to conclude his future one way or another. Maybe they want to move on and try and get someone in to replace him and get those funds in to be able to do that. I think the longer it drags on, you wonder why we haven't done the deal yet. If we do want him and he is open to coming here, then what is the delay? I know that it's early in the transfer window, but given we were linked with him in January, does raise a couple of question marks. He's 24 years of age. As I say, a long-term target for Celtic. He's got Champions League experience with Antwerp as well, so I think he is high up the priority list for Celtic. But again, I don't know where the fee would be. I think you're talking the bit, if not £10 million, probably the best part of it. 7 or 8 was the initial rumoured fee. If you go back to January, I think it did go a bit higher than that. Who knows where it's at now? It's gone on for so long, and there's been so many different reports regarding Balikwisha, so we don't know where it's at. But let me know in the comments if you think we're going to bring in 2 wingers around £10 million each, or the best part of £10 million each. I find that difficult to believe. I think it's going to be one of the calibre of Jansson or Balikwisha. I don't think it would be both. We are losing Nicholas Kuhn and we do need to bolster that area of the squad, but I don't see spending the guts of 20 million quid on two players. If anything, it might be, you could look at it and say it's reassuring that we're linked with two players who look like they're at a good level. This is the calibre of signing you would want Celtic to make. They're playing at relatively big clubs in the respective leagues. They've got, in terms of Balikwisha, they've got some Champions League experience. Jansson looks a great prospect as well, and I think round about that price mark, coming from big clubs and smaller leagues, is a good profile for Celtic. So it's promising that we're linked with both of them. I don't see both of them coming to the club. I think we'd be doing well to get one of them. If you have a preference, I know you want both. I know everybody watching this video wants both, but if you have a preference from what you've seen of them, let me know in the comments below. Do you have the feeling that the Jansson thing is a bit far-fetched and it's too tall an order for Celtic to bring him to the club this summer? Let us know in the comments below. But it is clear this week that winger is a high priority for Celtic moving forward, given the imminent departure of Nicholas Kuhn. Now, the other big news last night was that Celtic have been linked with £3 million rated 25-year-old Dutch centre-half Justin De Haas. He currently plays in Portugal for Famalicão. Forgive me if I've murdered that pronunciation there, but he's playing in Portugal. He's a left-sided centre-half, 6'4", looks like an imposing physical presence. Again, at Celtic, we're always looking for someone, a centre-half, who's got that balance between being comfortable on the ball, given the way that we play, but also is strong physically and can do the bread and butter, the defensive side of the game. We've got two left-sided centre-halves as it stands in Scales and Trusty, and like I've said, I think the jury's out on both of those. I think the links to other defenders suggest that as well. I don't think Brendan Rodgers is convinced that we'll be sorted going forward with Trusty, and I think Scales, towards the end of last season, got back in, but I don't think that's the way forward for us either. So it's clear that we're still looking at centre half. I think Brendan Rodgers' comments on Friday tell you everything you need to know. Talking about the arrival of Hayato Inamura, which was confirmed on Friday, he said that he's not ready to be a first team player just now. It's probably a case of bringing him in, seeing where he's at, and then getting him out on loan for a season. Now, that's strange to me. We've brought in a 23-year-old centre-half from Japan for £250,000. He's not ready to contribute to the first team yet. We're going to have to get him out on loan and then see where he's at. It seems like a bit of a gamble, and I don't mean gamble in the sense that it's a big layout financially for Celtic. Of course it isn't, but it seems like a bit of a low-risk gamble where someone's obviously seen something in him. We do need a left-sided centre-half. He's available for a relatively low fee, and it looks like we've brought him to the club on the hope that he can come here, adapt to the lifestyle and maybe the culture around football in this country. Could he be loaned out to another Scottish Premiership team? Who knows? In the hope, as I say, that he'll develop and he'll get used to the culture and improve to the point where he can maybe take part in the Celtic first team. It's a bit of a baffling signing. We'll see how it develops. We'll see where he goes on loan. We'll see if he can actually surprise Brendan Rodgers and get some sort of place in the squad with a view to this summer. But the links to Justin De Haas last night seemed to suggest that we're going to bring in another centre-half. And that makes sense because in other news, Maik Nawrocki, since I last spoke to you, has signed for Hanover on a season-long loan. There's an option to buy with that. It looks like his Celtic career will come to an end. I know that there is a sort of prevailing opinion that when Nawrocki's played, he's done okay, and a lot of you think that he should be higher in the pecking order than someone like Liam Scales, for example, but it's clear that for whatever reason he hasn't made the grade. He's struggled with fitness. He's been injured quite a lot throughout his 2 years at Celtic, and with a year-long loan to Hanover and having that option to buy there, he's in a similar situation to where Lagerbielke was last season. And it looks like the most natural progression for him now will be to complete this loan and then have a permanent transfer out of the club. Now, coming back to Lagerbielke, he is with Braga. He's completed his medical, but the deal isn't finalised yet. It hasn't been confirmed. He was pictured in the airport wearing Braga training gear and signing autographs for Braga fans. So it's all but done. It seems a bit strange. It's the wonderful world of football transfers where a player has gone to a pre-season training camp, he's completed his medical, he's signing autographs for his fans of his new club, but the deal's not actually completed yet. That's a bit rare. But it looks like Lagerbielke has gone. Nawrocki has gone. So that is two bodies in that position of the pitch at centre half that we had to move out. Inamura is in. Brendan Rodgers seems to suggest that he'll be going the same way as Nawrocki in terms of going out on loan. Of course not. With a view to leaving permanently because he's only just signed for the club. But he doesn't look like he's going to be part of the first team plan. So we do need another centre half in there. There has been this rumour about Carter Vickers and whether or not he needs an operation. I don't. That's just hearsay at the minute. I don't think it's clear where he is at with that. But you just have a fear that if Carter Vickers, in any way, whether it be through injury or injury prevention, is going to miss this Champions League qualifier, you would worry about the centre half pairing that we might have to play those ties with. Would it be Scales and Trusty together? Would Welsh come back into contention with Nawrocki and Lagerbielke gone? I think we've got challenges at centre half, and that along with out wide and striker are the big issues for Celtic outstanding in this transfer window. Of course, left back is there as well. We're looking to bring in another left back to support Kieran Tierney to give us a bit of depth there. So there's lots to do in this summer transfer window. Justin De Haas looks like a big physical presence. £3 million, as I say, 25 years of age. That is the sort of profile that you think would be ready to come in and contribute to the first team and hopefully compete with Scales and Trusty. But in the case of Lagerbielke and Nawrocki, we've made £3 and £4 million signings at centre half before that haven't been ready. So, like I said at the top of this summer transfer window, centre half is a big challenge for us because we've made a lot of mistakes in that area of the pitch recently. And if this De Haas link is to progress, let's hope he is the player that can spell an end to those issues that we've had recruiting centre halves recently. I didn't make a video on Friday after the friendly against Queen's Park. Apologies for that. We're playing Cork tomorrow. I'll hopefully be able to get one of the guys on after the game tomorrow night to give some thoughts on it. These early pre-season friendlies are difficult to really take anything from, especially that first one. I was at the one against Ayr last season. It is like the B team. There's a couple of first team players in there. The international players and the majority of the key first team players aren't back yet. They've joined the group in training, I think, as of Saturday. Brendan Rodgers seemed to say that Tuesday's game will come a bit too early for them. They'll still be in their early pre-season preparations, and they'll maybe be available to take part in the next game against Sporting Lisbon and Portugal. But I thought it was a good exercise. It was almost like a training exercise, that game on Friday against Queen's Park. A couple of young boys did okay. I see that Sean McArdle was rumoured to be signing a new contract. I saw that somewhere online. He does look a promising young player. Good finish by Johnny Kenny for the goal, but other than that, not too much to take from that exercise. It really is just a case of getting some low level competition, getting a game under the players' belts early doors. But like I say, we'll be back tomorrow hopefully to talk about the game against Cork. I'd expect the lineups to be similar to where they were on Friday, given the fact that those first team players who have just arrived back won't be involved yet. It'll be similar lineups, similar teams. I think it's another chance for the young guys to go and impress Brendan Rodgers and show that they might be able to get some sort of first team action and take part in squads this season. And for some of the other players, the likes of Johnny Kenny, we wonder where his future is going to be by the end of this summer transfer window as well. But we'll be back tomorrow to talk about the game against Cork, and that rounds it up for today. Let me know your thoughts on all the rumours and links discussed below, and the departures of Nawrocki and Lagerbielke as well. And I'll see you tomorrow on the next video. Thank you.